Welcome back, explorers, to the next part in our musical history of Cosmic Ray's Starlight Cafe. Last time we covered the original run and origins of Michael Iceberg and the Iceberg Machine. And when we left off, there was a spicy music group called Tabasco, filling this space with contemporary music hits. But Iceberg, Tabasco, and all the rest, they were just the openers. They were just the build-up for the big show. Because someone else was coming. And his name was Sonny Eclipse. And this is history.
Tomorrowland in the 1990s. Long gone are the days of relevant, futuristic-sounding music acts within the Tomorrowland Terrace. In the stead of Michael Iceberg for many years, collections of varying cover bands take the stage. And rather than transportive space-agey melodies, these bands opt for the original Tomorrowland Terrace formula, popular hits of the present day. In reality, the sounds echoing in the terrace were just a symptom of an overall issue plaguing Tomorrowland. Yet again, the future had caught up to the present, and the whole of the area was once more a stale salute to differing but now generally common ideas. The allure of tomorrow in theory is that it should always be better than today because it is informed by yesterday. And yet, in Tomorrowland, history was always repeating itself. Tomorrowland had some of the most interesting attractions in the park, but it lacked a cohesive bond to combine them all together. On one hand, guests could find somewhat satisfying exploits in aviation and space travel. And on the other, there was an enjoyable slideshow of a very existing America and an increasingly outdated iteration of Carousel of Progress, showcasing impressive modern marvels like ham and eggs.
It's time for me to start my New Year's Eve spectacular. Omelette superbe avec jambon.
Not the famous omelette superbe avec jambon.
Known in other circles as ham and eggs.
Accenting it all was the confusion happening in the Tomorrowland Terrace. Sure, by design it's merely a momentary pit stop to fuel up on a packed day in the Magic Kingdom. But ever so recently, it had been so much more. It was a venue for something far-reaching, relevantly strange, entertaining, and weirdly inspirational. Around this time, Epcot would announce the complete redo of Communicore and Future World into a new exhibit showcase called Innoventions. Taking the baton from Tomorrowland's original intentions, Innoventions would essentially be a dedicated space to showcase new ideas, without any thematic confusion. So now, what was Tomorrowland to do? Luckily, the solution for the recurring Tomorrowland conundrum had recently been solved in another Disney park. In 1992, Euro Disney opened in Paris, France, showcasing a futuristically themed land dedicated primarily to existing ideas of progress, and it was called Discoveryland. Here was the future, presented in a timeless way. In Discoveryland, Imagineers developed a retro-esque steampunk vision of the future that championed progress while channeling the ideas of past science fiction visionaries. Instead of attempting to guess a future that was likely to come quicker than anticipated, Discoveryland presented a future outside of time, outside of expiration. Back in Orlando, the Tomorrowland overhaul would reflect the sentiment of this approach and draw heavily upon it. New Tomorrowland would adapt its current offerings by actively fusing needed fantasy to the mix. No longer would Tomorrowland be a mere expo for burgeoning ideas. New Tomorrowland would be the imaginative adoption of them all, transforming itself into an established intergalactic spaceport, recognized officially by the League of Planets. Over the next 2 years, Magic Kingdom guests could observe as grand cosmetic and architectural changes would take over, adapting the space into a practical galactic community, a universal hub for discovery, art, transit, function, and even mail. Tomorrowland would become home to a variety of colorful characters, including but not limited to talking trash cans, timekeepers, and xenomorphs. But not everything Imagineers dreamed up came to fruition. Perhaps one of the most interesting original concepts for New Tomorrowland was a complete overhaul of the Carousel of Progress. The show, while iconic, was outdated, and Imagineering was always dreaming of ways to refresh or even replace the attraction. One of those dreams was Plectu's fantastic intergalactic review. This redo would have fully eliminated the generational story of John Progress and family, replacing it with a band of musical aliens who crash land in Tomorrowland. Originally developed for the announced but ultimately unhappened Tomorrowland 2055 in Disneyland, Plectu's was officially on the docket for the new Tomorrowland as well. Concept art suggests the entire building would have been remodeled into a gigantic flying saucer crash-landed. Upon entering the craft, guests would find the rotating venue turned into a stage for a bizarre troupe of tuneful audio-animatronic aliens. The general gimmick of these intergalactic vagabonds would be each of the aliens' uniquely musical bodies in which, of course, they could humorously play themselves. One scene would have featured a multi-limbed extraterrestrial creature slowly emerging from a foggy bog, belting a humorous operatic aria, aided by the backing choir of his own multiple mouths. More concept art shows us other characters like the rodentesque duo of Harmony and Melody, as well as the ringmaster and presumed host of sorts, P.T. Quantum. Even though it was officially announced for Disney parks on both coasts, Plectu's fantastic intergalactic review would never officially take off, and thankfully for the sake and the history of Carousel of Progress, the original showcase was restored to its original 1964 World's Fair version, save for a refreshed but once again, wildly outdated finale.
You know, in my day...
Oh no, you're not going to tell us about the old days when you didn't even have a car phone.
But perhaps those ideas of singing aliens weren't fully abandoned after all. Perhaps there was a space in Tomorrow where some of these proposed outer space crooners could perform. With a dedicated agenda for the Carousel of Progress, there was left only one venue in Tomorrowland that needed addressing: the Terrace. A bland area without any solid purpose in the new Tomorrowland being unveiled. Would contemporary American Earth music really have a place in a sweeping intergalactic spaceport? Meanwhile, across the world in Tokyo Disneyland, guests would find the special brand of delight and entertainment that Tomorrowland lacked in the pan-galactic pizza port. As it turns out, guests visiting Tomorrowland in Tokyo Disneyland got hungry too. And there were many places in Tomorrowland that could have satisfied that craving, but there appeared to be a clear fan favorite location. And while pizza is certainly universal, one could argue that the appeal of the pizza port has nothing to do with the cuisine being served. Meet Tony Solaroni, not only the remarkable alien behind the science serving pan-galactic pizza port in Tokyo's Tomorrowland, but also the star of its continuous and captivating audio-animatronic show. While patrons below can order the signature pizza of the pan-galactic pizza port, above them, Tony Solaroni mans the massive pizza constructing contraption overhead. Or should I say, he aliens the massive pizza constructing contraption overhead. The machine is called the PZ5000, and it may be Tony's saving grace right now. As we come to find out, Tony Solaroni, the hardworking, underappreciated extraterrestrial from the Spumoni galaxy, has an unparalleled enthusiasm for pizza, but also seems to lack the dedicated skill set that can keep one functioning. Having previously failed in 10 other star systems, Tony's stern yet barely forgiving boss at this point, Mr. Fusano, is giving him one last chance to establish an Earth franchise in Tokyo. Tony can be manic and irritable at times as he sits below a gigantic video monitor, where he also fields calls from a nagging wife and the excitable kitchen crew. While Tony is no stranger to failure, he is confident the Earth franchise will prevail. It's because of the PZ5000, a pizza assembling machine that produces pretty pies with careful precision before sending it to bake in the kitchen. Tony proudly demonstrates the PZ5000's many functions, including the glib-globulator and the flip-flopulator. He shows us the Sauce Nova and the Cheese-O-Matic. There's a lot on the line for Tony. Under threat of another failed franchise and being sent to work the Fornax Galaxy spice mines, everything is really riding on the PZ5000. Should Tony succeed, he'll be rewarded though, with 100 years of pizza port servitude. Naturally, during the presentation, chaos and musical parody abound. It's a hugely kinetic and wildly entertaining show to watch while dining on pan-galactic pizza. Tony's presentation is zany and hilarious and at times tragic, and it's arguably the closest thing to a full-blown audio-animatronic Muppet show that we can find in the Disney parks. And while Tokyo Disneyland contains many theme park characters, Tony Solaroni is perhaps its most beloved. Regardless, it was a restaurant that entertained its guests like never before. The Pan-Galactic Pizza Port would inspire important discussions among new Tomorrowland Imagineers, and Tony himself would play an exceptional influence for what would become Magic Kingdom's largest quick-service restaurant. Tony Solaroni channeled the original concepts of classic attractions like Country Bear Jamboree and the Enchanted Tiki Room, which were initially envisioned as dinner show entertainment. But while Imagineers saw potential in his program, Tony Solaroni belonged to Tokyo. Luckily, though, Tony wasn't the only audio-animatronic alien in Tokyo Disneyland. In fact, Tony would have made his pizza-making debut as a direct companion to the brand new Star Tours installation across the way. The Pan-Galactic Pizza Port was connected by walkway to the Star Tours exit. Guests disembarking their Star Speeders had the option of walking back into Tomorrowland or taking a direct route for some sustenance at the Pizza Port. Intergalactic travel in those days was not to be monkeyed with, and thus before any customers could enter the actual Pizza Port, they'd have to go through space customs by getting approval from Officer Zizzix. Officer Zizzix, the stoic alien security guard, maintained his personal workstation as he monitored safety conditions, not only within the Tomorrowland Starport, but also on connecting Star Tours planets like Bespin. Officially, he's a Zorky from the subterranean planet Zork, and anyone heading to the Pizza Port has to go through him. Much like Tony Solaroni, he also seemed to share a great affinity for the Pizza Port and would encourage travelers to make a stop. While the official exchange has been hard to verify, it's clear that Imagineering saw something special in Officer Zizzix. Something profound and arresting. His motions, his otherworldly appearance, the bona fide wisdom that seemed to rush from his voice. While many passing by saw a simple customs agent, Imagineering saw the workings of a star, and they asked him if he'd consider a move. But Zizzix declined. He loved the people of Tokyo, and he didn't have an entertainment bone in his body, but he would recommend a distant cousin of his, a struggling star-hopping lounge singer looking for a venue. Imagineering would collect that information and would soon be reaching out to a particular Sonny Eclipse.
Guys, do you realize that this means officially, unequivocally, Sonny Eclipse is a part of the Star Wars universe? It's canon. So when is Sonny going to be on The Mandalorian? Okay, where were we?
Ladies and gentlemen, Cosmic Ray is proud to present the biggest little star in the galaxy. Direct from New-York City on the planet Zork, put your hands together for Sonny Eclipse and the amazing Astro Organ.
Connections were formed, flights were arranged, and deals were made, and in 1995, as the final cherry on top of the new Tomorrowland, Sonny Eclipse would make his debut as the star of a singular audio-animatronic show in the Starlight Lounge at the newly named Cosmic Ray's Starlight Cafe. The namesake of Tomorrowland Terrace would relocate across the land to what was once the Plaza Pavilion. For the last 25 years, Sonny's Tomorrowland residency has brought extraordinary delight to many Magic Kingdom guests. During that time, he's been cycling through the same but extremely varying 8-song setlist. Each track is a hit and remarkably autobiographical. Through them, we can learn a lot about the Zorky behind the Astro Organ. And believe me, Sonny has range. His musical styling stretched confidently over numerous genres, from doo-wop and blues to boogie-woogie and bossa nova. While Sonny sits solo on stage, his act is hardly a one-man show. He shares the stage with his possibly sentient Astro Organ and his invisible backup singers, the Space Angels.
When suddenly I heard them, but no one was there. Those beautiful voices from out of thin air. They arrived just in time, invisibly absurd, as they saved my act. This is what I heard.
Each song is interluded by Sonny's outrageous charisma and peppered with topical one-liners.
Thank you very much. Hey, guess what kind of bugs they have up there in the moon? Give up? Lunar ticks! I'm on a roll now. You know, I'd still be up there performing on the moon, but I heard it was going broke. It was down to its last quarter.
During his stint on Earth, Sonny has developed a strong love for the place, and when musicians love something, they sing about it.
What I mean. Out in space, Earth looks so small, floating there like a tiny blue ball.
That's not to say that he doesn't miss his home planet Zork and the love he left behind.
Oh, bright little star, though I'm light years away from her now, I can't help but to feel that somehow we're both wishing on you. I imagine your light in her eyes as she gazes up into the skies. At this moment does she realize you are in my eyes too.
Other songs in the catalog detail with great specificity the expansiveness of the solar system, while others shine light on the menu and management style of the mysterious Cosmic Ray himself.
Cosmic Ray Starlight Cafe is a super galaxy franchise. The menu is from outer space, including the fries, Starlight soup and salad, and his blast-off burgers too. And ice cream from the Milky Way, arriving crisp from rocket ships especially for you.
Sonny may love Earth, but his relationship with Cosmic Ray seems complicated at best.
One day I said to Cosmic Ray, my pay is really slightly pallid. I'd like to get a Cosmic Rays today, but instead he gave me soup and salad.
This comedy is awkward.
Hey Cosmic Ray, if you're out there, I was only kidding about the raise, man. Actually, folks, Ray pays me weekly. Very weekly.
But the show must go on.
I really love it here on Earth. It's one of my all-time favorite planets. Hello, all you Earthlings. My name is Sonny Eclipse.
While Tony Solaroni and Sonny Eclipse appear to be genuine aliens from distant planets, I need to remind you once again, this is inaccurate. They are both indeed audio-animatronics designed by Walt Disney Imagineering. And whether or not these characters are resurrected holdovers from the abandoned Plectu's Fantastic Intergalactic Review, what is without doubt is the incredible showmanship that appear to drive them both have actually been gifted to them from talented Imagineers in this star system. It's worthy to note that the similarities between the two alien singers is no accident. Both Sonny Eclipse and Tony Solaroni share a show writer in Disney legend, Kevin Rafferty, most recently the mind behind Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. Rafferty would write lyrics to all 8 songs of Sonny's set. The music, however, would be composed by Disney regular George Wilkins and guitarist Cal David, who would also supply Sonny his voice. Epcot purists might recall Cal David lending his bluesy wisdom to the Goofy About Health show at the former Wonders of Life Pavilion.
Oh yeah! Overeating has added those calories, and cholesterol clogged up your arteries. Your body ain't thinking about dangerous drugs. You can't survive on coffee slugs. You got those unhealthy living blues.
There's hundreds of other nuggets to find in Sonny Eclipse's 25-minute show, and while that may seem like a finite amount of time, the definitive delight he's been able to give Magic Kingdom goers in that frame is near unlimited. Sonny leaves no moment wasted, and via whimsical song and wonder, he opens up the galaxies to us Earthlings, turning what could be just another quick-service burger restaurant into one of the most entertaining points of not only our theme park day, but also our lives. Sonny Eclipse is the unofficial but clear ambassador for Tomorrowland. He flawlessly links different countries, different worlds, different franchises, and unites them all with out-of-this-world music and intergalactic charm. While science and technology doesn't necessarily drive his entertainment ambitions, his pursuit for discovery and leisure nestle nicely within the general motivations of what shaped New Tomorrowland. Sonny Eclipse could tour the galaxy, singing for the elites of distant planets, and yet he chooses to sing for us, content to humor tourists against relative obscurity in Central Florida. While the visionary ideas that had driven New Tomorrowland would somehow fade into yet another state of confusion, Sonny Eclipse remained. He sits there behind an astro organ, a staple of Tomorrowland, singing of outer space and fast food. Cosmic Ray's Starlight Cafe, echoing the attitudes and characters of other Disney parks, confidently feeds the Magic Kingdom daily. While Cosmic Rays is not without its critics, it has surely nourished and entertained guests in varying ways since its inception. For yesterday, today, and of course tomorrow, Cosmic Rays will surely be home to countless more Magic Kingdom memories. And whether it be by Astro Organ or Iceberg Machine, whether it be by burgers or fry, something magically affecting has always been happening within its hollow chambers.
And every night, as we gaze at your loving starlight, we will know that when wishes are right, they will always come true.
And here we are today, after even years and decades, Sonny Eclipse is still here, serving up space-agey tunes and puns to us Cosmic Rays diners with perfect pitch and delivery every single time. I always felt he was an underappreciated character here in the Magic Kingdom, and now that you know a little bit more about him, maybe you'll be more inclined to stop by and say hi next time you're here in the Magic Kingdom. This has been the musical history of the world-famous, the galaxy-famous Cosmic Rays Starlight Cafe. And until next time, we'll see you in the happy place. Bye.
Did you know that a comet was a star with a tail? Hold on to your seats, folks, because we're going to crank it up. Here we go now. When the Big Bang was done and the fun had begun, there were 9 spinning planets going around that old sun, and comets and asteroids and meteors too.